Sawubona mngani, welcome back to Zulu Lessons with Thando, the place for modern conversational Zulu language lessons. Mngani, let's talk about ourselves for a little bit. Let's say we are introducing ourselves to somebody. You can then add into this one, we can be talking about family now. Want to tell us about maybe you are married and how long you've been married or when you got married. Let's add that. Ngishadile. I am married. Ngishadile. Now, how long or when were you married? We got married in 2010. We got married in 2010. Sashada ngo 2010. Do you hear that? Sashada. That's sa. That tells you that this is a long time ago, not something that happened yesterday. Sashada ngo 2010. Sashada ngo 2010. If you haven't seen those remote past tense sentences and how to make them, please look at that video. I did post it a few weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Now, let's say we've been together since 2010. This is not telling you whether you are married or whatever. Maybe it's your partner, but you're not married, whatever, boyfriend, whatever, girlfriend. So it's just simply saying we've been together since. Sesibe ndawonye kusukela ngo 2010. Sesibe ndawonye kusukela ngo 2010. Noma go 2010. How about we've been engaged for 5 years? Now that gets a little tricky to say in isiZulu because it depends on who is speaking. If it's a lady, then you must say how long you've been lobolwad. Do you hear? I'm speaking Zunglish here because some of these words are not there in English. And if we say them in English, the common words in English, they're actually not right. Ilobolo, the cows that are paid to the bride's family by the groom's family. Do you hear? I'm not saying by the groom, but rather by the groom's family. Those cows, people like to call them bride price, but I believe that that term was taken from a different culture that's not an African culture, and now they are bringing it to us, and it doesn't sound right. It's not a bride price. But anyway, there has to be a better term for this. But ilobolo is what we are talking about. So now when someone is saying that they have been lobolwad, so those cows have been sent to the bride's family, then you would then say, this is the bride speaking, sengalobolwa. Sengalobolwa. So I have been lobolwad, you see. And you can then say sengalobolwa iminyaka emihlanu. And then the man can say sengineminyaka emihlanu ngalobola. Sengineminyaka emihlanu ngalobola. I now have 5 years since I have lobolad, since I have paid lobola. Or ngalobola eminyakeni emihlanu edlule. Ngalobola eminyakeni emihlanu edlule. I paid to the bride's family the lobola cows 5 years ago. So in the past 5 years. So that was a bit tricky to say in isiZulu, talking about being engaged, because the terminology is not there. So yes, and just to know, for your interest's sake, this whole thing of I'm engaged does get the elders a bit pissed off a little bit, because it's like, what are you talking about? It's a lingo that does not exist per se. So it's very difficult to talk about it because it doesn't exist really in our language. So now let's say I live here with my family. I live here with my family. You hear that here. Pay attention to it in this sentence. Ngihlala la nomndeni wami. Ngihlala la nomndeni wami. Ngihlala la nomndeni wami. I live here. La nomndeni wami. You could say maybe how many you are in your family. We are a family of 4. Singumndeni wabantu abane. Singumndeni wabantu abane. That's a very formal way of speaking. I would normally say siwumndeni wabantu abane. Siwumndeni wabantu abane. So we are a family of 4. Or you could be wanting to say there are 4 of us in our family. You hear that different statement now. Sibane emndenini wethu. Sibane emndenini wethu. There are 4 of us in our family. Now let's say how many people were there in the family you grew up in. I grew up in a family of 5. Ngakhulela emndenini wabantu abahlanu. Ngakhulela emndenini wabantu abahlanu. That verb khula, so khulela, that verb is to grow. So ngakhulela, a long time ago I grew up emndenini wabantu abahlanu, in a family of 5 people. Sibahlanu ekhaya. That's a very short way of saying it. Sibahlanu ekhaya. Ekhaya, it is at home. Or sibahlanu kiti. You hear that kiti? That kiti is in my family. So look at that. Sibahlanu ekhaya, sibahlanu kiti. It doesn't tell you much. It doesn't tell you whether we have included the parents or we are talking about the siblings only. It doesn't tell you much. Now let's go on in a bit more detail in talking about our family. I have a 10-year-old daughter. Nginendodakazi eneminyaka eyishumi. Nginendodakazi eneminyaka eyishumi. Now this one is a little harder to say in isiZulu. It's just really actually no way of saying it. To say I'm a single parent. Listen to it. Ngibakhulisa ngedwa abantwana bami. Ngibakhulisa ngedwa abantwana bami. I raise my children alone. That's basically what you are saying. So you will hear people here saying, ngiyi single parent. Do you hear? Ngiyi single parent. I'm a single parent. So people just end up saying it in English. Because in isiZulu, it just, it doesn't sound, it just doesn't work. We don't actually even say it. I've never actually heard anyone say that in my whole life. But then also there's a bit of a cultural thing to it that you are not supposed to. It would be in an abnormal situation where you end up raising your children by yourself. We are talking here not just mother or father, but as in we are talking about the rest of the family, so your village. If you don't have that, it would be a strange one. So that's why you won't hear people talking about that per se. Although, to be honest with you, there are a lot of single parents in our society, so single fathers or single mothers. So we just don't have the right terminology to say it. And then we have this one for if we are talking about one child. Now you want to say I'm a single parent to one child. You would then say ngimukhulisa ngedwa umntwana wami. Ngimukhulisa ngedwa umntwana wami. I'm raising my child alone. How about I have a set of twins who are 7 years old, who started school this year. Let's add a bit of information there, detail. So I have a set of twins who are 7 years old, who started school this year. Twins in isiZulu, amawele, amawele. So listen to this. Nginamawele aneminyaka eyisikhombisa. Aqale isikole kulonyaka. Nginamawele aneminyaka eyisikhombisa. I have twins who are 7 years old. Aqale isikole kulonyaka. Aqale isikole kulonyaka. Who started school this year? Let's talk about siblings. Let's talk about siblings here. Say how many siblings we have. Now think about this one. Keep this in mind. We do not have a word for sibling in isiZulu. You say whoever it is, whether it's a sister or a brother or sisters or brothers. So you can say we are born in the same family by using the word siyazalana. Do you see that zalana verb? Now we are saying siyazalana. That is telling you we are related by blood. But do you realize that this is also a term you can use to refer to a cousin as well, as long as you are related by blood? And then when we are now wanting to talk about your sibling, so the best way to say someone is your sibling is to say it like this. Ingane yakiti. Ingane yakiti. That is a child of my family. Ingane yakiti. And so then if you are now saying Beki is your sibling, you will then say Ubeki yingane yakiti. Ubeki yingane yakiti. So Beki is my sibling, basically. So that really is just a child from my family. But the true meaning really is a sibling. Now let's say you want to say I have 3 siblings. You then have to tell us the number, and then you have to tell us at home or in my family. So sibathathu kiti. Sibathathu kiti. There are 3 of us at home. Or you could be saying there are 3 of us in my family. But the context will be about siblings, not all the members of the family. Now, this is how you would say how many siblings you have. You have to say how many brothers and sisters you have each. So, I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. Nginabafowethu ababili nodadewethu oyedwa. Nginabafowethu ababili nodadewethu oyedwa. I have 2 brothers. Nginabafowethu ababili nodadewethu oyedwa and 1 sister. If we want to say there are 4 of us in my family, we've said this already. We said sibane ekhaya. But keep in mind, now we are now talking about siblings. So the person will then be knowing that you are referring to your siblings, not to the parents as well. So you can then say sibane ekhaya. Please let me know if you have any questions. Please put them in the comments so that we can then have a conversation about this and you can understand it better. Usale kahle mngani.